Right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to make a blue ball, and we're going to start by using pastels. So the first thing is get yourself a prosthetic device to make a circle, and there's no problem in art with using prosthetic devices. It helps the artwork. I'm using a sort of quite a dark blue. Draw a circle. Idea is then get your color into the circle. I'm using these pastels, and these are oil pastels that I'm using. We could also use soft pastels as well. I'll do a demonstration of that just now. And basically following the contours, draw in the color that you choose. Okay, so follow the contours. Be careful of going out the lines, try and keep it quite neat. Usually I would turn my page, but just to move it out of the camera, I'm not going to turn the page just yet. Okay, you then need to decide where the light is coming from, so I'm going to make the light come from this direction. And if the light comes from that direction, it means your shadows are going to be exactly opposite to the direction of the light. And the secret here is to get the shadows to mix with the color, and whatever's in shadow, that is called a tone. You can see how we're getting it darker as the light moves away from you towards the edges. What's closer is lighter. Now conversely, I'm using what's on my finger just to touch in a bit of a few shadows there. Conversely, we need to use white with a color where the light is hitting, and this is called a tint. Okay, and I've used quite a dark cold blue. The secret is not to get the whites and the blacks mixing together, that it makes a grey kind of color, which often can look a little bit dull. Okay, then I'm going to take a warmer blue and blend in, still keeping curved, the rule is curved object, curved lines. And what Leonardo discovered, that there's always a little bit of refracted light in the very darkest area of the object. Right, and so there we have our blue ball done with oil pastel. You can see the place where the light hits, and you can see the shadow opposite. You can see that I've kept all my lines curved. That helps accentuate the volume of the object. Right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another ball. This time I'm going to do it using pencil crown. Obviously the pencil crown has a finer tip, and therefore pencil crown will take a little bit longer, because now we've got a lot more area to cover with a very fine tip. Notice that I use a hatched line. Once again, it's curved form, and so therefore I curve my lines around, working up to the line, because your pencil will have a front and a back. The tip is the front, and you always try and draw up to a line with the front of your drawing tool. You can see I'm curving the lines around. And so the first thing I'm doing is I'm putting on straight the hue blue onto the surface and working it around. What's further away is darker, what's closer is lighter, so I'm going to press a little bit lighter here, keeping my lines curved, watching out for any lines that are too flat, and moving around the object. I want to keep the front of my object, my pencil tip, the front pointing at 90 degrees to the line so that I don't go out the lines. So you wouldn't draw like this, because that would be drawn at the back of your pencil. You're drawing utensil. And I'm coming around the side now. Right, so now that I've got my pencil lines in, I'm just going to smooth them a little bit using my finger. This is called the smudging technique. I used this as well with the oil pastel. So now once again, the light is coming from the same direction. I take my black and I start now making tones of blue by adding my black pencil crown to it, and once again working it up. Now instead of using black, I could use a soft pencil at this point instead of using black pencil crown. Sometimes the soft black pencil works better in that you're able to smudge it a little bit more. Right, so my light is coming from this direction, so my shadows are here, and as they bend away from me, the ball is round, so it bends away from me in space. I'll make it slightly darker. What is darker is further, and what is lighter is going to appear closer. And so roughly I can smoothen some of those lines. Remember, all the lines are curved, and you try not to have any flat lines. If I spend more time on it, you wouldn't see any lines at all as I smooth it off. Now the difficulty with pencil crown is to make the light tints. You know, often one doesn't have a white pencil crown to put it in, and often the white pencil crown isn't very effective on your drawing as well. So another trick is to use an eraser. So where the light is, going in little circular motions, following the way the light would hit the ball. You just got to watch out your eraser isn't dirty. You can put in your light spot. And there you can see the ball is starting to take shape. And what I'm going to do here is to switch from the black to a pencil, and you can see the difference, to a nice soft pencil. This one is a 8B, and you can see that it's the darker you make the object, the more volume you're going to get, and that means that the light is much more brighter, in other words, to create darker shadows, and that can work quite well in the final touching up of the drawing. I like to work with hatched lines as well, so it's curved hatched lines. That adds definitely to the drawing. Be a little bit careful on the edge here, just smudge it up. And there we have a blue ball in pencil crown. Alright, so now we're going to do a blue ball using pastel. This is soft chalk pastel, and this is most probably one of the easier ways of doing it. So once again, we draw our circle in, we take our pastel, turn it on our side, and we can quickly, boldly break in the color. You'll see that I'm using both hands. It's good practice to use both your hands and not just be stuck with one hand for drawing. And I like to stand when I'm drawing to get my body really involved with it. And you can see there we've basically boldly worked in that color. Now we're going to add the shadow again. Good, light is going from the same direction. So we take our black to make tones. We put a little bit of black on, and then we can slowly blend it with a earbud, or token as it's called. It's another object for blending your pastel. Very handy little tool. You can see I'm making my shadows on the outside. Okay, I need just to clean my hands a little bit before I apply the light. Once again, there we have the white. Make a circle and then blending it out. And this is, in painting, this would be called scumbling, which is another method. And you can see we can even take our blue and go over the black if it's too strong. And just to finish in this part, neaten it up. And there we have a blue ball using pastel. You can see that's a lot quicker. Right, so now we're going to do a blue ball with paint. So with paint, the easiest thing is to get some guidelines in using a pencil. Get your paint out. The back is a little opener, and you can put your paint. Oh, let's get a blue palette. You can put your paint into your palette. Get a nice brush with nice soft hairs, and painting 90 degrees. You can quickly work in your colors. And what you also need is a little bit of water. So we'll just get a container of water just to dilute the paint and to make the paint flow quite easily. So you can see you need a very small quantity of paint for such a small object. You can see the paint goes quite far, and so I'm using the water as a medium to dilute the paint and allow it to flow across the surface. And once again, I'm painting with curved lines as it's a curved object. And there we have the basic blue color in. And now I take the black. Just make sure you have a small quantity on your brush, and you can just break in the black shadow once again. And there we have it there. I can take my finger and just blend it a little bit if it's needed. Wash your brush off so that you get rid of the black. Get some white. Once again, we break in the white. And the white can be quite thick as we break it into the area, and we can add more blue. And eventually we blend the colors together using what's called the scumbling technique. Okay, and there we have a painted blue ball. So it's a good idea to keep the whites and the blacks apart, otherwise you get grey in the middle. Usually that grey would be your pure color hue, and this technique is called local color painting. So this would be a blue ball that I'm painting using blue, white and black. Black makes the shadows and the object curve back in space. The white is the highlights where the light is hitting, and it comes forward in space. And what you do is you've got to blend the two together without letting them mix and having the pure hue color between. Okay, so just to sum up, this kind of drawing or painting is called local color painting.